Hey guys, this is just Bridget. Hey guys, this is simply Bridget coming to you once again. I just wanted to quickly make another video. I wasn't planning on making this video, but something just told me that I needed to do this. And I know that other people out there can relate to what I want to share with you all and what's just been laying heavy on my heart. So I didn't share this yet, but I quit my job on March 23rd, 2022. Just a month and some days ago. And it was the scariest thing that I've had to do, one of the scariest things I've had to do in my life. I was in a job that was soul crushing. I cried every single day at that job. It got to the point where I was having sleepless nights. I would have to take sleeping pills in order to get to bed, and I would have to drink copious amounts of coffee in order to get myself up and prepare myself for the day. And the funny thing is, when I look back on it, I knew before I took that job that it wasn't right for me. So before you guys say, hey, then, that's your fault and what do you expect? I just want to take you guys back to how it all started and how I got to the journey that I was on and how it killed a little bit of me every single day. So when I graduated from university, Columbia University with my master's, I prayed to God that I would have a job that would take me back to Ghana because I'm half Ghanaian and that's where I want to relocate. And not only do I have a family there, I have family, cousins, uncles, I have friends, but I have a significant other there as well. And so I was looking for jobs online. I'm like, I need something entry level. I work in the nonprofit sector. That's what I did my master's on. Please let me find something that could bring me back to Ghana because I felt that the US was not the place that I needed to be. And so that didn't happen. It was funny because there were two jobs that were interested in me and wanted to engage me in an interview. And at that point in time, I was in Ghana as I was applying for jobs. So one of the companies said, hey, we would like to interview you, but it needs to be in person. So when are you leaving Ghana and when are you coming back to the States so that we can interview you? And I lied because I wasn't planning on coming back to the States anytime soon, but I lied and said, oh, I'll be back in 2 weeks. So there it was. I was really struggling and trying to find a ticket to get back to the States as soon as possible so that I could interview with this potential company. And so I got back. I went for an interview. But before that, let me go backwards in time. When I was still in Ghana, as I said before, there were two companies that were interested in me. And I said, God, universe, whichever one is best for me, whichever one is best for my spirit and where I want to go, lead me to that job. And so I left it at that. And one of the jobs just dropped off, like out of nowhere. I have no idea what happened to that job. Like they never called me back, even though they were interested and they said that they wanted to have an interview with me. They never called me back. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's this one job that wants me to come to the States for an in-person interview. And so since I had prayed on it, I felt confident. And I felt that everything was going to be okay. I went for the interview. And they never called me back. Interestingly enough, 2 days after that interview, I was still thinking I was going to get that job, blah, blah, blah. Another company out of nowhere called me up and said, "Hey, we just saw your CV. It looks pretty good. Would you like to have an interview with us?" And it was in the same city that the previous job that I just went for an interview 2 days ago was in. Mind you, I was living in a different city and I needed to take a 3-hour bus ride to get to that city to do the interview. So I asked them, "How many rounds of interviews do I have to do?" They were like, "Just one." I said, "Awesome." I went in there, I rocked the interview. They were happy to have me. The next day they said, "Look, you're hired. When can you start?" So although the job wasn't in Ghana, I felt happy because, hey, this is my first job out of grad school, right? So the first couple of weeks were great, you know, had my first big girl job. It was awesome. And then I'm like, wow, is this what life is about? I had to get an apartment in a different city in Washington, D.C. You know, I was a new, like a freshly minted graduate. So, of course, I had to have housemates. And so every day I would get on the metro, take it to work. Everybody's hustling and bustling in DC, taking the same trains, the same subways to work. And then when I would get off, I just remember going up the escalator from the subway to get out to my town, my neighborhood, so I can get home. And there was just a huge line up the escalator of people in black coats and suits and ties. And I'm like, wow, this is what a grown up, what a grown up life looks like. And I didn't know whether to be happy and awe or just miserable. But I just trudged along and I was like, okay, this is how it is. Although I still wanted to be in Ghana, I compromised myself. But all of a sudden, I would say I started the job in October. By December, so that's October, November, 2 months later, there was a posting, an internal posting for a job. And the job was called, what was it? Junior Expat Abroad Program. Junior Professional Expat Abroad Program. And it was for people like me, junior level professionals, to have field experience in a developing country through the company for 1 year. And out of all the places that they had this program, there was only one, and it was in Ghana. And when I saw it, I was like, this can't be real. I couldn't believe it. So I was thinking to myself, should I apply? Should I not apply? I just got here 2 months ago. Like, I can't just leave my team. I can't leave my boss and go to a different country. And there have been people that have been here for 2, 3, 4 years who are junior professionals just like me. Like, I can't do that. So I just let it go. And then 2 weeks later, there was another email that came around and said, "This is the final notice. Due to a lack of responses, if we don't get junior professionals who are interested within the next week, then they're going to post the job opportunity externally." And I said, wow, this is my sign. This is my sign. Nobody has really signed up for this amazing opportunity to go work abroad and get paid for it. I was like, wow, this is for me. And I prayed and I prayed and I went through the interview. Interestingly enough, the country director had come into our office a few weeks prior to, and he stopped by my office and he's like, hey, nice to meet you. And I said, nice to meet you as well. I'm new here. And my boss mentioned that I was half Ghanaian. And he was like, oh, wow, that's great. So when this job opportunity came around months later, and I had my interview with this same country director over Zoom, he remembered that I was half Ghanaian. And so it just seemed like the universe was able to link up this opportunity in ways that I would have never imagined. So, of course, I got the job. I was super excited. And so there went my 1 year journey back into Ghana, the same thing that I had prayed for. I'll do future videos on what exactly happened because it was not a smooth ride at all. I had some crazy coworkers and crazy experiences. But I want to fast forward. That 1 year contract ended right as COVID began. I had 1 day left in my contract, but then COVID shut down everything and I was immediately evacuated from Ghana. And I had to come back and I really didn't want to come back. So they brought me back to my home state where my family is, back in Arizona. And it was a great reunion with my family because I had not been home in years because I went to Columbia and then I was in Washington, D.C. So it was great to be back with family. But all that time, I knew that when the year was up, there was no guarantee that my company would reabsorb me into my old position. And so during that time, I was struggling trying to look for jobs. And sure enough, the universe had me again. There was a position that opened up within my company, and they said that I was well suited for it. I had no experience in that job. It was a business development position. I had no experience writing proposals or managing proposals or coordinating proposals, none of that. But I did what I had to do and I learned on the way. Fast forward 1.5 years later, another news hit the company that they were undergoing a merger, and a lot of people were being laid off at that time. And so I'm like, God, I need another job. I cannot be laid off. So I had not even applied for jobs yet. And another company reached out to me and said, hey, are you looking for a job? This was on LinkedIn. You have the requisite skill set and we're looking for somebody like you. And I casually went, okay, they said, apply here. I applied, just casually applied, because even though I was grateful to have a job in business development where I had to quickly develop my skills because I had no previous experience, I didn't necessarily like the job. But here was a company that was offering me an opportunity to get out of a tricky situation in a company that was merging and laying off people. So when I received the job offer, I quickly accepted, whether I liked the job or not. And what I requested in pay, they paid me. They offered me that exact salary and I was really happy about it. But during my interview, I knew that this is not the field that my heart would be content in. It's not something that I would like to do long term, but I brushed that aside. Another red flag that I brushed aside was that It seemed like everybody on their team had quit all at the same time and they were in a hurry to hire more people onto their team. And that's part of the reason why I was onboarded so quickly. Because my company was going through difficulties of their own through this merger, I didn't pay that any attention. I ignored that red flag. So going into the job, they were really nice. They were really helpful, but my heart wasn't in it. And by the second month, I felt like my soul was being crushed by that job. Now, it wasn't the company. It was me. I didn't listen to myself. I didn't listen to my internal instincts, my gut feelings. I didn't listen to myself. And by that time, I felt like a fool because here I am in a brand new job. They're paying me well. You know, they're really nice. They're really helpful. And I could not stomach the thought of being in that job for one more month. I got hired in August and I didn't think I would make it to December. And so I said, okay, what am I going to do? I need to get out of this field because it's not the job itself. It's the entire field, the entire profession that I don't like. And so one person left in HR and I said, maybe that's something that I could, branch into. So I quickly called up HR and I'm saying, hey, I saw that one of your junior HR people has left the company. Would you be interested in bringing me on? I would love to train. I could, learn on the job and do my job. I just want the opportunity to learn. And pretty much they said that they have a lean team and they don't have the time to train somebody. And what would my team that I'm currently in think about me just up and leaving them like that? And so what the HR or P&C person said was, let me think about whether you should apply or not. I'll get back to you on whether you should apply or not. And at that point, I knew that they didn't want me on that people and culture or HR team. And I was crushed. During that time, I also had my Saturn return. And that was a whole crazy experience on its own. During that time, I don't know if I was in a depression. I feel like people use that word lightly, depression. Oh, I'm depressed. Are you clinically depressed or are you just saying you're depressed? So I don't like saying that word unless I'm diagnosed with depression. But I would say that I was really, really down. I felt like my soul was being crushed. I would wake up crying every single day. I would wake up with my heart racing. And it was the worst feeling. During that time, I got a call that my grandmother was sick. Now, my grandmother was 91 years old, healthy as can be. She would go to bingo every single day, go to church every single week. She had her own apartment living by herself, and she would climb up to the second floor because her apartment was on the second floor of a 4-family house. That girl was strong. And my grandma used to say, go while you can. I'm going to go while I can. And she sure did. One day I got a call that she was really sick. And so I took the next flight over to see her. She was like, don't take me to the hospital. She didn't want to go, but she could barely walk. Her breathing was shallow. You could hear her wheezing. She was not herself. And I told my family, look, I don't care what you guys say. we're bringing her to the hospital. And so that's what we did. And so it was determined that she had COVID-19. And so they put her on oxygen. And for the longest time, she wasn't recovering. And my mom, who's a nurse, said, look, you can keep her on this oxygen, but she's never going to be the same. Let her go peacefully. So we decided to take her off the oxygen. And the doctor said that if she made it through the night, we could bring her home so that she could rest peacefully. Unfortunately, she didn't make it. And so with the worries of my job, crying every day, dealing with the demise of my grandmother, I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. My grandmother, we had her funeral on Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve. I came home devastated, still mourning, still in quiet desperation to leave my job. And I would cry in between meetings. I would cry before I closed my laptop. I would cry before I opened it in the morning. All that going through a Saturn return. And so sometime in February, I said, I can't do this anymore. And I gave them my 2 weeks. I couldn't take it. I said, look, it's not you guys, it's me. They're like, we understand. It's really hectic, you know? And it was a busy time for the company. It was like all hands on deck. Everybody in the company also had to focus on business development, whether you were in that department or not, because the US government was putting out so many grants that we needed to apply to. And so I decided to help them out for 2 extra weeks. I said, hey, I need as much money as I can before I go jobless. And so I helped them out. And that was tedious. I don't know whether I should have accepted that or not, but I did. I helped them out for 2 extra weeks. And on March 23rd, 2022, that was it for me. I left. A lot of people don't know how they're going to get through the struggles, how they're going to get through a job that they hate. But one thing that helped me was I wrote down all of my fears, because Lord knows I didn't want to leave because, you know, I didn't have anything lined up, and I still don't have anything lined up. I wrote down all of my fears, mostly financial. And I said, what would it take for me to quit? And I said, if I have 6 to 8 months worth of salary saved up or living expenses saved up, I'll be okay. And that's what I did. I saved. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this, and there's going to be a part 2 to this story. I am blessed. I am privileged, and I will never denounce that. I will never denounce that. Right now, it may not be the best thing in the world, or people may not, people may frown upon what I'm going to say, but I am at home with my parents. I don't have to worry about paying rent or getting food. I am privileged in that sense. I admit it, I accept it, and I thank God for it every single day. And you may not have that opportunity to, but you may have something else that God has given you, or the universe has given you, some sort of strength, some sort of gift or ability to move beyond your circumstances. The universe might open something else up that you didn't expect. But for me, it was that my parents helped me by providing a roof over my head. And I took that gift, and I took myself out of the hell that I had put myself through this job. And here I am. I decided that no longer am I going to live up to society's expectations of me. I've gone to an Ivy League school. I've had the quote unquote prestigious job, or, a job that's respectable at least. I've had a decent salary. But at the end of the day, was I happy? Was I satisfied? I can't say that. And so I'm sharing this with you just to give you some inspiration. I'll be sharing my experiences along the way, my journeys, my shortcomings, my hopes, wishes, and dreams and regrets. But I just wanted to share that story with you guys. I know some people may be able to relate. For others, it might just be a story about how privileged I am. I don't know. But at this moment, it doesn't matter because I'm doing something that's right for me. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys. And I hope that you all have a blessed day. I hope that you all understand that if there's a circumstance that you're going through, just ask the universe for guidance. You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to keep going on the way you're going. It's all a choice. Now you may say, oh, I don't have a choice. You do. You might not like the consequences, but ultimately you have a choice. And so, although my choice isn't the prettiest one, I'm taking a chance on myself. I'm learning day by day what I do want. I'm expressing myself more. I'm breathing more consciously. I'm walking consciously. I'm thinking consciously. And I'm no longer stressed or fatigued or feeling so down that I'm wondering if I'm depressed. I no longer feel that way. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Take whatever you need from this message, that you no longer have to suffer. You can find a way. Write down everything that you're afraid of and how you can overcome those fears. Write those things down so that you will have the strength and the courage and the motivation to lift yourself out of that situation. If you love this message, or at least if it resonates with you in any kind of way, please feel free to like, subscribe, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Until next time, this is Simply Brigette, and I'll talk to you soon.